Hey, hey.
Hey guys, I'm here with Stephen Vancauwenbergh, one of the speakers for Investor Weekend coming to Chattanooga March 8th and 9th. I wanted to interview Steve and show you guys and explain to you why you should know him. And first off, Steve, who are you? Why should people know who you are and what do you have to offer them?
All right. Well, first of all, I'm in the dark because our electricity is turned off, and I apologize in advance. We're doing some upgrades to the office. We did some things wrong, and that's why I'm here first. First of all, we wired it wrong. There's code that we didn't know, and so we had to hire a licensed electrician. Don't fail where I have failed, where I've just tried to cut a corner and throw some Romax in some walls and didn't know the code for commercial. I know the code for residential, but so that's why I'm here and why you should be listening to me. I'm just like you. I was starting out in life, didn't know what to do. I wanted to have a decent lifestyle, not necessarily rich. I was tired of being broke and poor. And in 1999, I started buying real estate, single family homes, and now I'm into commercial and apartments. And I'm honored to come speak and share my story of rags to riches, from homeless to killing it, crushing it, doing it every day in real estate. So does that answer your question, homeboy?
Somewhat. So you're coming to speak at Investor Weekend. What are you coming to speak about?
Private money. There's something that I left on the table. One thing is I'm excited just to come to Chattanooga and hang out with awesome investors like you, which keeps me motivated and keeps me going, because since I've met you, I've been wholesaling and I've turned over $200,000 in profit over the last 5 years through wholesaling, probably 4 years actually. And what I found, that I was leaving a lot of money on the table, and you brought that to my attention. But another thing that I've realized in the last couple of years, that I could have been doing a lot more deals. I've been following you through private money, and you were my first private lender about 3 years ago. And now I have spent a lot of time borrowing a lot of money, and I'm going to share my story on how to do that for you. Most people think they can't get into real estate because it takes money to make money, or they don't have good credit. And my goal in Chattanooga is to get everyone in that room to think differently, that they can get private money. And I've been working on a course with a friend of mine who had no idea about private money. And I took him from zero to over $100-something thousand in 2 assets in less than 6 months, just learning the tips and tricks that I'm going to talk about coming up in March.
That's pretty amazing. I know you were telling me about a pretty big private money deal you just recently did for a commercial piece of property you were buying out in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I'm not really actively every day looking for single family properties. I'm looking for commercial, mainly apartments. And I came across this deal, and it was just random, is that I like RC cars. And there's an RC car racetrack that was getting displaced. Their landlord basically sold the building, and he had to move this RC car place where I love to go and drive RC cars. And so I found out that he was, August 1st, he had to move out. And I called my realtor and I said, hey, could you help him find a place so we don't lose this activity, this attraction for Oklahoma and for the kids? And I said, hey, if you can get it under $500,000, I'd be interested in buying it. I'm not really interested in buying commercial property. Long story short, my realtor found a property, and I got the money lined up with my bank. And it was a new banker that my realtor suggested, that he loves and does everything with. And, oh, yeah, use this guy. Well, the dude gave me the song and dance. Yeah, you got the money. You got the net worth. I can make this happen. I can even do it with no money down. And the guy forgot to order the appraisal. Like 2 weeks later, I'm like, dude, where's my term sheet? Are we going to close by the end of the month? Because this guy has to get out, and his whole business is hinging on my word. Of course, I had a contract, but it has nothing to do with my tenant. And so the bank just kept messing around. And this is the stuff that I always try to help you on. And you always say, oh, I don't want to mess with banks. It's so much easier with private money. And so I was not necessarily desperate. I had another bank lined out. but for fun, I just emailed a friend of mine who I was privy to that he liquidated 14 houses and he had $1 million in cash that he was trying to go buy an apartment building with. But he was not having any luck in Texas, is where he's from, and he could not find a property, an apartment building that was worth, what he could afford. Afford $1 million. And so I emailed him just out of desperation, said, hey, would you loan on this building? I had the appraisal pulled, which was 3 G's. So that was the only real cost out of my pocket. And he emailed back within 2 hours. He's like, yeah, I'll loan on that. I was only asking for 30 days. He gave me 60 days. He charged me 1%, $5,000. He wired the money in 2 days. I punked that bank, which is so powerful for me because, banks do run this kind of industry in some form or fashion. Like if you really want to grow your business, if you want to start from $30,000 units to, multi-million-dollar apartments, it takes bank funding. And I'd never wanted to burn a bridge. And I was just so glad to say, never mind, I already got it. I already got the funds. I closed it with his money. It took me about 60 days, not 30 days. I refinanced my friend out. He got his $500,000 back. He was giddy over 5 G's. Like, I don't understand that he was so happy to loan me $500,000 for 5 G's when my tenant was paying me $5,000 a month. I got 2 days of no interest. So I made 10 G's on the rent because this is a 8,000 square foot commercial property. It's a retail kind of strip center. And man, I could have never done that from private money. From that transaction in August, and I was helping a friend, I'm like, it's kind of weird. I don't want to feel like a sellout or a guru or make courses to sell courses. But this was the most defining moment. When I met you and you pushed me and you slapped me and said, yo, you're leaving money on the table. And I'm like, dude, I'm the savvy landlord. I know what I'm doing. I got 100 units, homie. Dude, you're leaving money on the table. Come on. I know you got this East Coast accent and you're cool and you're in Chattanooga and you're OG. And I was like, and he was right. And man, and so and how did I meet you? I met you at an event that we're hosting at a conference or a summit or a con or whatever you want to call it. It's called Investor Weekend. And it's just a bunch of people getting together, trying to learn, and we network. And I met you there. We had lunch, and you've changed my family. Even my kids love you. They love your dog, and they can't wait to see him again. And and I would have never probably borrowed private money because you were my first private lender. I would have never made over $200,000 in wholesaling, and that was from you. And that's all because of just meeting you at an event, hanging out. And I'm an author. I have like 4 books out on Amazon, and I wouldn't have an audio book on Audible if it wasn't for you. So I mean, it's great that you can meet. You just, the one thing I try to educate people is like, listen, you just need to go to this thing. I know you don't want to go. I know it's $100 for a ticket, early bird special. Yeah, at the day of the event, it's going to be double that. And it's $100 risk for you. But man, look how much I've made, Thomas. It's just nutty. Over $200,000 in wholesaling in 4 years and some change. And I bought a $675,000 asset with private money. And I would have.
You're not a full-time wholesaler. That's you.
No.
Your whole thing is landlording and your portfolio.
Yeah. But, I mean, those 2 things. I mean, I remember I went to an Alan Cogill course about 10 years ago. And, I knew that since I didn't have a college degree or I didn't have any assets, that private money would be in the midst someday. This is the thought that I have. Banks are loaning me money. I'm going to mess with private money when banks stop loaning me money. And I regret that. And that's why I'm speaking in March is don't do what I did by not prospecting private money. And I love, even when you text me stuff, I always think, man, maybe I can loan you money. Or maybe you could do that with a no money down technique by leveraging a private money individual that has an IRA that's not being used.
True. Very true. That's how I borrow a lot of my private money. I mean, I borrowed out of your IRA.
Yeah.
I mean, it co-beneficial, these relationships. That's why I'm bringing in an IRA expert, IRA Innovations, to Investor Weekend to actually show you how to do this.
Yeah, Mike Todd is a rock star. You know, and I was actually going to ask you this question the other day. Check this out. So a friend of mine called me and he's like, this guy's trying to get, it's actually a bank friend. And he's like, hey, do you know any this is a true story. This just happened to me yesterday. He's like, hey, do you know any HVAC companies that finance central heat and air? And I was like, well, yeah, all the big companies finance. And he said, yeah, well, my friend can't get the loan. I go, what's his credit score? 600. I said, how much is he trying to borrow? 4,000. I was like, is that just for the condenser? And, you know, is that the whole package? He's like, no, that's just a condenser. And I was like, well, that cost me 2 G's. But anyway, so I was like, and I thought of you. You've been pushing me. He said, Steven, loan it out of your IRA. So I'm getting in contact with this guy. I'm going to loan him $4,000 out of my IRA. And I'm going to probably make, you know, close to, you know, $500 tax free, and loaning someone money on a condenser. And I'm going to put a lien on the guy's property. And if he disses me in any way, I will have interest in his property. And if it's a really good property, I'll buy him out, foreclose on him on a second lien.
Yeah, I mean, it's a win-win for everybody.
But I would have never have done that if you didn't tell me, you know, be creative. And I think that's the one thing, you know, I wish you were in my market. There's not enough creative people like you that I mean, you've retrained me. Like, there's always a way to do a no money down deal. There's always a way to get financing. There's always, you know, what do you always say? Terms are better than.
I mean, price, terms, or condition. And I joke with people. I can pay $1 million for a crack house if the terms are $1 a year. There's some way I can make that cash flow. So it's just a matter of looking at what's really the problem, what can solve everybody's needs, and how can you make it a win-win?
Yeah. And, you know, so just to keep this short, because we're going to, you know, this is going to be an 8-hour seminar, not from me per se. There'll be some great speakers, some of my idols, some of the people that have helped me. But Friday night, we're going to have some cocktails. We're going to have some roundtables. Thomas, you're leading one of those roundtables. I'm excited. We'll do another video about that. And then we just network, raise private money, you know, tell people, hey, I got deals. I'm looking for money. I went to a seminar once where they did like speed dating. Hey, I'm John. I have $100,000 alone. I'm Tim, and I have assets in Oklahoma. Let's work together. And that happens at Friday night.
Yeah. I've got many good friends in Oklahoma from previous investor weekends. I can call and raise capital if I need to.
Yeah. And that's, you know, how much power, what can you do if you had unlimited income? The hardest part is deals, right?
True.
I mean, I know that you stroll around in your little V-dub chilling with your little Acura looking sports car, buying deals. And I know in the back of your mind, I can get funding. And I think when you have that type of power, and that's what private money does, when you think you can do anything or you can close any deal, sky's the limit. It's just your time and how much you want to commit to learning and growing.
I mean, it's who you associate with, who can you make it a win-win with, and who can, I mean, you can't paddle the whole boat by yourself. It takes a team effort.
Yeah.
But if everyone's getting paid and everyone's happy, and you can do it tax-free for them or truly passive for them so they can enjoy their life, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, I had a private lender last year. I nearly doubled his money in a few months.
I remember that. Didn't he get like frustrated or something? Like he wanted you to exercise it even more, like get it back out there to work.
Yeah.
So, well, man, I'm excited. Let's do another video soon. And I got to get back to work. You can see I'm in the dark, you know, I got to check
out your contractors.
Yeah. I got to work on my contractor. See you soon, homie.